Welcome to Between Two Trains. My name is Theo, and twice a month we bring you the best and brightest entrepreneurs in the North DeKalb area. As always, your host is Van Pappas of Oxygen Financial, and this week we have a special guest host, Mr. David Carter. And now, Between Two Trains.
Welcome once again to Between Two Trains, and I have some exciting news for the listeners to let you know that last episode we came to you from 3411 Co-working, and it has now become our new studio space, permanent location right here at 3411 Co-working on Pierce Drive. So come check them out and come say hello to Between Two Trains. And once again, for the second episode in a row, I have my friend, the fabulous and talented Mr. David Carter. David, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah,
I appreciate
I'm glad
it.
you were able to do another episode. I hope you can do many more in the future. So, David, last time you told us about your firm and what you do as a lawyer, and you mentioned a little bit about the mold situation. I wanted to ask a couple of questions. So, if someone's got a mold problem, how do they really know that they need to contact a lawyer?
Well, first of all, the mold has to be caused by somebody else's negligence. So if you've got mold in your shower, I can't help you with that.
Right.
But if you are renting an apartment and there's mold coming in from the roof or showing up in the closets, or you have a musty smell under the sink and your landlord is not repairing that, then they're putting you in a dangerous spot. And that's when I can step in to help you.
Gotcha. So that's typically what most of the cases are landlord-tenant type cases. Like, I own my own home. If I got mold in my house, who am I going to blame?
Well, if you own your own home and let's say you put a new deck on the side of your home and they don't do the flashing on the deck right, and that allows water to intrude. Or you get new landscaping and the landscaping causes water to run down towards your house instead of away from your house, that will cause a water intrusion.
So that's the negligence of the people installing the landscaping or putting the flashing up.
That's correct. And we can work with you to get them to come back out and either repair it. And of course, if mold has started to grow because of that water intrusion, then you've got to remediate the mold that has come into your house because of what they did.
Well, I'm glad you're back on the show. We have a great new entrepreneur to bring to you. As always, we come to you from a variety of different podcasting sources. You can listen to Between Two Trains on Stitcher and Google Play and all your favorite podcasting, or just go to our website, betweentwotrains.com. And this week, David, we've got a special guest. His name is Dimitri Kellner from Creative Stone. And Dimitri actually is Greek too, right?
Yes, I am.
My fellow Greek. Dimitri, welcome to the show. I love bringing on fellow Greeks to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So, Creative Stone, you have been in Chamblee for a long time. I've been here my whole life, and it's hard for me to remember back to a day when you weren't there. You've been there since the 90s, right?
Yeah, 98. We started
98.
here in Chamblee.
So 20 years now.
20 years this year.
So let's first start off with, Chamblee was a much different place 20 years ago.
Yes.
How did you end up locating in Chamblee?
My prime objective was to find a central location close to 285, 85, kind of close to the inner city, fairly. And so this area is kind of where I circled. And I just went around until I found,
And so you found the property right there on the corner of Peach Street and Pierce, literally right across the street here from co-working space.
Yep.
And Creative Stone. Tell us a little bit about what Creative Stone is, what y'all do, what your services are.
Well, Creative Stone is a manufacturer. We make countertops out of all natural stones. We do quartzites, everything you could list of. We don't do laminate, we don't do corian, but everything natural. So we have our own inventory, a showroom, sales staff. We fabricate it there on site, and then
right here in Chamblee.
Right here in Chamblee. And then we have installation crews that go out to the job sites and install the product.
Okay, so you said countertops, so I'm thinking kitchens, bathrooms.
Yep.
what other types of countertops are there?
Mainly kitchens and vanities is
Some vanities. Okay.
yeah, the main thing that we do. We do, furniture pieces. We do conference tables, fireplace surrounds, things like that.
Okay.
But the vast majority of what we do is kitchens and vanities.
Bars?
We do bars. We work with the retail. So just the general public comes in, they can come and look at all the materials. We could show you around, help you with the design of it. And then we also deal with designers, contractors, and then we do some commercial work and builders.
So is that more of your businesses through those contractors, or you have individuals coming in? Like, I know, David, you mentioned before the show that you actually were a customer of Dimitri's years ago. So do you have a lot of people like David coming in just as people off the street, or?
We do. We have quite a mix. So I'd say 40% of the people that come in are just retail. It's either word of mouth, they know somebody, or they've driven by, seen our trucks, that type of thing. We don't do a whole lot of advertising.
Okay.
We work for...
Now, you don't do a lot of advertising now, but think about 20 years. Did you do much advertising 20 years ago? How did you...
we
you're
never
a
did.
little bit different. David, what's different about Dimitri here is he's different than all the entrepreneurs we've had to this point. Most of the entrepreneurs on the show have been young, new startups, only been in business a few years. So I'm really excited to have this conversation about
He just
what
called you a crusty old man.
No.
20 years ago, I was fairly young in the business.
All right, so let's start there. 20 years ago, what caused you to say, hey, this is the business? I mean, is this something that runs in the family, or
No.
why Stone?
It just kind of happened. I was looking actually to start a different business, and put together a plan and was working on it, and I just couldn't come up with the funding to do it. So I worked for another countertop shop back 24 years ago. I started with them for a few years, and I did a lot of programming for them and stuff. So I kind of took my idea.
I can do this.
Yeah, and I said, this business that they're running here is not running great. I think I could do better. Okay. I don't see it as something I couldn't do. So it wasn't my first choice, but it was a great backup. And once I decided, this is what I want to do, I really focused in on it, and I just worked nonstop to build this business. I built everything in that shop.
So thinking back then, because we mentioned advertising, how did you get your first customers? Was it just, did you go door to door, or did you?
I knew some contractors from the other place, and I knew some people that were unhappy with the service they were getting.
And so that was
so I reached out to them. Tooling and all the same thing. I just kind of had all the contacts lined up, and I just reached out to them, said, hey, I got a saw, I got some polishers, we're ready to go. Feed us some work, and sure enough, I started getting jobs, and then just slowly by slowly we started picking up more and more.
So David has heard me talk about entrepreneurs and their side hustles. So did you do when you were working for that other group and you said, hey, I can do this better than what they're doing, did you do some of that on your side, or did you just make a clean break as an entrepreneur and said, I'm starting this business?
Oh, I made a clean break.
So there was no side hustle. You said, I'm going for it 100%.
No, I was working on a plan on the side until I had everything kind of figured out how I was going to do it, and to a point where I was ready to to leave them. I didn't actually do any jobs until I actually had to build a shop, buy some saws and equipment, and get all that together.
All right, so I don't know anything about the equipment y'all use, but I would venture to say that it's not necessarily probably cheap stuff, right?
Right.
I'm not going to the Home Depot and buying a sawzall and cutting a piece of stone.
No, sir.
So you mentioned getting your plan together and all of that. One of the things that always fascinates me as a financial planner and an entrepreneur is how you did that with the financing side. Was there, family backing? Did you go to friends and family and say, hey, I need some money to get this business started? Did you go out and get a small business loan? How did you start 20 years ago?
Well, I had a little bit of money in savings, so that helped me a little bit. But I actually reached out to my dad, and he's the one that wanted to see the business plan, see how serious I was about this, talk it over. And once he figured that, it's really what I wanted to do, he felt confident that I could do it. And so he backed me on it. And so I was able to get the funds to go out and buy the saw and equipment. and I really had to do a lot of just hustling and doing it yourself. Can't hire contractors come in there and build out the shop when you have limited funds. So it started small.
Was it just you by yourself, or did you have?
I had my brother at the time.
Was he a partner, or just he was
he was a
working for
partner
you?
at the time. So it was my brother and him, and then a couple of fabricators that came with me from the other place. And then as we started getting jobs, we just started reaching out to other people for employees. It's kind of a difficult business to hire.
Why is that?
The skilled labor pool is there's just not that many people out there with the skills to do it. So back then we reached out to who we knew, got a few people that were really good, and we brought in new people and started training them.
So you have to do, I'm assuming then with this, as you said, there's not a lot of skilled labor out there. You have to do a lot of training. What was...
It was a little different back then too. We didn't have the automated equipment we have nowadays.
Okay.
20 years ago. So now we're running CNC machines. It cuts down on a lot of the skilled labor.
All right, tell me what it's, because I don't know. What's a CNC machine?
A CNC machine is a computer numerical controlled machine.
Whoa,
so
David.
Basically,
it just I did not
I didn't get that either.
Wow.
It sounds fancy though. It sounds expensive.
It sounds very expensive.
It's expensive, but it's always there. It works well. It doesn't talk back to you too much, so it shows up on time. Right. All that good stuff.
It sounds very precise too.
It is very
more precise than a person
So,
could do.
Actually,
with
it sounds to me like you would have to train someone even more with that. I mean, very technical,
You do.
right?
You do. You have to have a couple key people for that type of equipment.
Yeah.
That know what they're doing. Otherwise, if you don't have the skills to run that, it's just going to sit there and collect dust.
Right.
So, and we do, and I come from that background, so there's pretty much everything that goes on in that shop I can do or can train someone to do.
So now here, all these years later, are you still there on the floor doing those things, or are you sort of like, hey, I'm running the operations, I'm the entrepreneur, and you go do...
I'm more or less running the operation,
but every now and then
I do have to fill in and because some of the people, my key people, only have one programmer. I don't have another program,
And
so
if they're
I'm
out,
in. So for instance, this Friday he's going on vacation, so I got to step in.
You guys step up.
Yep. So which is good, keeps me keeps my memory going on that. So make sure I'm fresh with the equipment still.
Right.
Now you keep inventory on hand, right? You keep the raw stone on hand.
I do.
And you cut
So
it to size?
the way it works is there's a good handful of wholesalers, local wholesalers, that all they do is import stone from around the world. And so I have customers that will go there, pick out their stones, and I buy the material from there for them, and we fabricate it. I also purchase material from some of my wholesalers. I'll purchase it in bulk. I'll go out there, hand pick the material, work out some good deals. And I also travel overseas to purchase material. So I actually just got back from Italy and from Spain, and picked out 5 or 6 containers worth of material that'll be coming in the next couple of months.
So there's a real difference then in the stone, right? Because I've heard, I don't know anything about stone, but I hear people, Italian marble. Is that something? Is that like a real thing?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is. The Italians are really where it all started.
Really?
With the slab work and all that
Dimitri,
stuff.
you're supposed to say the Greeks.
Yeah, the Greeks are doing it too, but the Italians do it the best. The best equipment, the best materials come out of Italy, and that's just
For stone work.
For stone, yep. Yeah. So most of my equipment's Italian.
Okay. So you said
actually,
you
all
were
my
over
equipment's
there
Italian.
and you got a
Think about it.
container. Is there like a dramatic cost difference in the material when you buy a container of stone from Italy, or where else did you say?
You can go. I went to Spain.
Spain.
But next time around I'll go to Brazil and look there. So we get a lot of materials out of Brazil. It's just a hotbed for marbles, for granites, for quartzites.
So is China not in the mix? You think? China
is.
seems to be like taking over everything. Are they not
It's
in
a
the
world market, the stones. So
Okay.
even though most of the stones are coming out of Brazil, they come out in big blocks and they get shipped around the world. It doesn't sound productive, but that's the way it works. So Italy, China, Spain, they're buying blocks out of Brazil.
So in the U.S., are we importing more stone than we create? Than we dig up ourselves?
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. I mean,
So
U.S. is a
are
strong
you scared
market
with
for that.
what's going on with our current administration and the whole tariff talk? Is that going to affect you and your business?
It actually has already. So, unfortunately, we do get a lot of quartz, the man-made product quartz out of China. We have a lot of distributors that go over there and they order specific colors from there, and they get containers and containers, and we buy that. And some of our stock material is that. And so the quartz materials out of China now has a 40% tariff on it, and that is about to hit this month.
I didn't know quartz was man-made. So they manufacture it there?
That's one of the places they manufacture. The Chinese they've done a good job manufacturing the quartz. India is another place. They're not quite there yet. They're doing, they're getting better, but I think because of what's going on, India is going to really step up now and take it, because there is no tariff out of India for that.
So are you going to have to raise your prices? Or
Absolutely. I can't absorb a 40%
is it too
increase.
late for me to come by? Like, should people be coming right now to you before the
Right
prices
now.
go up? Or have the prices already gone up?
Run, don't walk.
Yeah, so everybody that is aware of it, that stocks those materials, have pretty much...
They've already priced that in.
That they've gone out and purchased as much as they could before that price, so I have some inventory that I can go through before that increase happens.
Okay. So you hear it, listeners. You hear it right now. Go see Dimitri this week.
Yeah.
Come on out to Crave Stone, because if you wait for your home renovation project, it's going to be more expensive.
And that's not all materials. That's just a handful. I would say that out of the quartz materials that we sell, that might be 60% of the quartz jobs.
Right.
And out of all of what we do, the marble, the granite, quartzite, which quartzite is a natural stone. It's different than quartz. The quartz product is roughly 60% of my business now. It's really taken off this last few years. So it's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
It's what the designers out there are
and to
pushing.
be clear, what they're hiring you for is not just the supply of the raw materials, it's the craftsmanship. If you've ever been to a kitchen and seen counters where the seams don't quite line up,
right,
you all are far better than that. That's what you're selling is the superiority of the skill set.
Right.
To install that.
Now, you don't get involved with, I had granite countertop cut for my kitchen, and obviously they cut the space where the sink goes. And the guys that installed the granite countertop also installed my sink. So do you do ancillary things like that, or are you just...
We sell sinks,
Okay.
but every undermount sink that goes in a kitchen, which in a vanity, we have to mount. Plumbers won't. They don't. They don't do that.
Well, that's why I assumed
we actually mount it. We don't hook up the plumbing,
Right. But you
but
go ahead and
we
mount
do
the
that. We
sink.
cut out the cutouts for your cooktop or whatever you might have that needs to fit into the stone. If there's an outlet that goes in on the face, it's not that common, but every once in a while we do it. That's pretty precise cut that we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we do all that stuff. We fit it in, and we're there to give you the highest quality product we can,
That's
and
excellent.
in a reasonable time frame. So
Very cool.
Well, we're going to take a short break as we hear from our sponsors. You've been listening to Between Two Trains, a bi-monthly business podcast where we bring you the best and brightest entrepreneurs of the North DeKalb area. We will be right back after these words.
Looking for an affordable, functional, and creative space to work? Check out 3411 Co-working in downtown Chamblee. They have flexible month-to-month office space options that include fiber internet, meeting rooms, printing, coffee, snacks, and networking events. 3411 Co-working is the perfect place for entrepreneurs, remote workers, and small business owners looking for a one-stop shop for your professional needs. Stop by for a tour Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and see how 3411 Co-working can work for you.
Do you want to get on the freight train of social media marketing? Go to www.turnsocialintosales.com. Use the code Chamblee to get $100 off to the single best 2-day social media boot camp you will ever attend. Are you tired of not getting leads on LinkedIn or Facebook, SEO not working, or figuring out how to get on TV and radio and much more? Go to www.turnsocialintosales.com for a 2-day boot camp special for Chamblee. Use the code Chamblee for $100 off. Go to turnsocialintosales.com today.
Welcome back to Between Two Trains. Our guest today is Dimitri Kellner from Creative Stone, right in the heart of downtown Chamblee. And Dimitri, we're going to play a game here in a second called High or Not. But before we do, I wanted to ask you one more question. So you've been around Chamblee a long time. You've seen the changes that's being made. How have those changes affected your business, if at all? I mean, are you seeing that because Chamblee's becoming more relevant, you're getting more business, or you've been in business long enough now where you're doing your thing and it really is not affecting you?
I mean, we've been around a long time, and we definitely, have a good customer base. But I definitely think it helps having more traffic coming through. It's become more of a higher end area, kind of filling in to Brookhaven and Buckhead. So it's the last area out. So I think it's really helped, and I think it's helped a lot of businesses in Chamblee. Everything's looking nicer. Developers coming in and tearing down the old and putting in the new. And
now, do you interact with? So you're right, and we've got some multifamily developments going on. Do you do any business where you'll partner with someone doing a multifamily and say, "Hey, I'm going to do all the stone for this multifamily"?
Actually, at the moment, I don't have the capacity to do that.
It's just too much work.
Yeah, I've stayed away. We've done it in the past, 100 units at a time, and it's worked out. But it's a heavy workload to put on the staff that I have and the space I have. I've been there for 20 years. I've maxed it out. I've actually bought a new location in Norcross that I'm going to move my fabrication shop to and all my bulk material.
Oh, okay. This is new? This is brand new?
Yeah, started this in January. I'm still working on it. And
okay.
Hopefully in the next month or two here, September, somewhere in there, I should start to move in there. And,
but you're not leaving the Chamblee
Not leaving
location.
Chamblee, though. So Chamblee's going to turn into strictly a showroom and then a slab gallery once I get all the equipment out of there. And,
That's very cool.
And then you said, the development around Chamblee. So, I've tried to make the building look nicer, put in windows, painted it, and, just trying to fit in a little better with what's going on.
Or with the antiques on Antique Row, and then there's some specialty lighting shops in the area.
Yep.
I'm sure designers are coming here already, so you're in a great spot just for where they're used to coming to.
Right. I think it's more suited for a showroom now with what's going on around us.
Right.
Than having fabrication. You couldn't actually move into Chamblee where I'm at right now and manufacture.
Well, it's probably not
totally
zoned
different.
that way anymore. You're a non-conforming use at this point.
Right. You're grandfathered in, but
Well, and Chamblee, like I said, I've lived here almost my whole life, and what Chamblee was 30 years ago is not what it is today. The industrial is pretty much, moved out.
Right.
There's not much of that left anymore.
Right.
And, if you didn't know, by the way, David here is the chairman of Chamblee's Downtown Development Authority. So a lot of what you're seeing going on is at the direct hands of Mr. Carter here.
It's at the hands of both of us and all of us on the DDA.
So we're going to play a fun game here called Hot or Not. We're going to throw out some statements to you. And as an entrepreneur, we want to know, what you think, if it's something hot to do or something not so hot to do. So the first one I like doing every now and then is marrying an entrepreneur. Is it a hot thing to marry an entrepreneur or not such a hot thing?
That's a loaded question.
Yes, it is. And remember, your wife might listen to this.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did it the other way around.
Yeah.
So,
would she say it's a hot thing to do?
No.
No.
No. Because you work all the time. I mean, she refers to my business as my first wife.
Right.
And I try to change it. I have kids, and I try to make a home life, but it's difficult when you're on your own business and everything boils down to you and what your whole business. So you spend a lot of time, and you have a lot of pride, and you put a lot of effort in, and so it's I would say not
so hot. David, do you think it's hot?
I think it's very hot. I think my wife thinks that being married to an entrepreneur is very hot.
She likes it.
I think yes.
She thinks,
that's
it's
my
cool.
story. I'm sticking with that story.
Spoken like a lawyer. All right, so you mentioned way back at the beginning of the show about when you started, you had a plan. So, as a financial planner, I always talk with business owners and entrepreneurs about, how they make that change if they've got what I call a side hustle, and they want to actually make it a full-time gig. And so having a business plan, is that a hot thing or not such a hot thing?
Oh, yes. It helps.
You don't fly by the seat of your pants. You have an actual plan.
I used to have more of a traditional plan, and now it's all in my head.
Okay.
I
You've
think
been doing
about
it so
it.
long.
Sometimes I stay up all night and I just can't sleep because it won't turn off. And I'm, especially now with what I got going on in a new place and all that. Just trying to figure out exactly how everything's going to go. So.
I like how you said that, because one question I get as a lawyer, is, do I have to write everything down? And the answer is no. The value of the business plan is the process of going through the plan. It's not necessarily having an end product. It's not a thing.
Right.
It's something that develops with you. And you've just hit the nail on the head. You're constantly doing it in your head, but it's still a plan.
Right.
And you're still going through that process.
Yeah. I think you definitely need it when you're new at it. It's going to help you focus and get those skills kind of going.
Right.
And once you've been doing it a while, I guess it could help. But it also takes a lot of time to put that together, and you're thinking about it anyway, so you already have that plan. It's just in your head.
Right.
So going back to the hot or not, you just opened, or you're getting ready to open a location in Norcross. That's going to require financing of some kind. Do you think it's hotter for you to go out and take out a bank loan, or do you think it's hotter to sell equity in your company in order to raise that capital to buy that new location?
Equity partners.
I've thought of both. So
because right now it's just you, right?
It's just me.
You don't have any equity partners. Your brother, you mentioned your brother.
Yeah,
at the
I had my brother as a partner in 2004. I bought him out. And, he wanted to do some other things, and so I actually went to the bank because I was a little afraid to get a partner. I had a 50-50 partner before, and it could be difficult, especially, it was my brother too, so family.
Right.
There's no holding back there.
Right.
So, but I've thought about it lately. I'm it's a big deal moving into the location I'm at, and it's much bigger. So I'm just trying to get through this, get over the mountaintop and down the other side, and revenues start picking up again.
Right.
Right. Instead of bleeding out.
So as an entrepreneur, you mentioned, you do your business plan in your head. Is part of that plan, and this is why I said earlier, David, I'm really excited about having someone who's got a longer track record than all our previous guests. Have you started at all thinking about the exit strategy of this, or is it too soon to be thinking about what the end game is? You had a brother, he's not involved, so there's no partner that can say, hey, I think your kids are still probably too young to be part of the business, and frankly, they may not even want to be in that business, or you may not even want them in that business. But what, if anything, have you done to think about, that legacy plan, if you will?
I've thought about that years ago, and then I stopped thinking about it, and I've thought about it recently. So yeah, I do have an exit strategy, and I've been working on it. It's part of what I'm doing now is building the business, getting more of a management system in place, a whole sales staff in place, a showroom, the slab gallery. It all fits together. It's just going to be one engine that feeds the fab shop to make the countertops for the install crews. And at that point, when that's built up to a certain extent, it's marketable. So
you would lean towards going out and selling the business.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And so, obviously one of the things you would need to know is what is the business worth. So, you've thought about it. You haven't taken any steps to say, hey, I want to formally find out how much my business is worth. Or has your CPA ever said, hey, looking at your books, the company's worth X?
No, it's kind of a tricky formula to figure that out. Manufacturing, with the showroom and everything, every part of it, the equipment, all the inventory. So, no, I haven't gone that far. I figured I'm not at the stage yet. I'm not ready to do that. This is, I 5-10 years from now is probably something, but it's something that you have to keep in the back of your head and work toward, you can't just one day wake up and be like, all right, I'm going to sell the business. And it's, you just kind
Now,
of
you're not renting that space. You own the property?
I own both properties.
Both properties. Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah, we were speaking with our guest 2 weeks ago from 3411 Co-working, and she had mentioned how she had bought the building too. And after the show, we were talking about how the value of property in the Chamblee area is just going through the roof. As you said a second ago, Buckhead to Brookhaven to now Chamblee, there's not really any space. So,
Yeah, the value goes up, and so does the tax. So it's good with the bad.
People love that they're worth more, but they hate paying those taxes, right?
You were in so early. I mean, you must have seen a ton of appreciation in that property value.
From 98,
Yeah, I started out renting. And,
okay. So you didn't buy the property right away?
No, not right away. I rented for about 2 years, and my former landlord ran into some financial problems, and it ended up basically going to foreclosure. And I ended up
so you got a sweet deal then.
Yeah, I kind of came in right behind him. It kind of got offered to me right away, and I went straight to the bank with it. That's
awesome. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate for him, fortunate for me, but...
So I got another hot or not, and David knows I ask this of most of our guests, and I pretty much know the answer every time I ask it, but hot or not, Chamblee. Just flat out Chamblee. Is that hot or not?
Definitely hot now.
Yeah. Definitely hot now. So here's, David, something different, because so far everyone's been new to Chamblee.
Right.
And they've all gotten so super excited when I ask that. But I hear a tinge in the back of his voice that definitely hot now. So you're saying, you didn't think it was that great of a place before, or what?
No, it really wasn't compared to the way it is now. I mean, it was industrial. It was rough. It was a lot of automotive, a lot of manufacturing. It was, it wasn't as nice looking. We had a rougher crowd around here coming through Chamblee.
Seems like the direction we're going now, though.
Oh, absolutely.
So the city itself is not only physically changed, but the city hall is... the operations of it. Have you seen any change? Were you happy with... a lot of people obviously back in the day complained about the city and the operation and how they operated. Did you have any problems over the years, or
I have. I mean, I've had some personal issues with some of the things that have gone on in Chamblee. For the most part, they've left me alone. I've left them alone. I'm I stay busy doing what I do, and I don't really have time to get involved with the politics of Chamblee. I mean, it seems like it's fairly run pretty good now. I think in the past they had some issues, but I'm happy with the way it is now.
But you think we're on the right track?
Yeah, that's their motto, right? Chamblee. I was wondering when they were going to get on the right track. Well, it took a little while.
There's a reason why we call it Between Two Trains. So
I've been on both sides.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on the show. And for our listeners, tell them if they want, give them, where do they need to come? What do they need to do if they're looking for countertops or whatnot? Do they call you up? Or
come here in Chamblee. The number is 770-458-6771. It's Creative Stone, and our website is creativestoneatlanta.com. And come on in. We have a lot of inventory you could take a look at. We have a lot of remnants. If you're looking for a small project, we have tons of material you could take a look at.
So it's not a by appointment. They can just walk in.
You could just walk in. We're 9 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, by appointment on Saturday, and we're changing, so we're making a bigger showroom.
Wait to see that showroom. In fact, we would love, once you get it all done, to we're contemplating here on, and David, I haven't told you this yet, but we're contemplating taking Between Two Trains to the next step and moving to video. So we'll see over the coming months if we can do that.
You're going to have a new co-host at that point. Face made for radio here.
Yeah.
So we would love it if we can make that change in Between Two Trains. When you get the showroom, let us know when it's all done and you got it pretty, and we'll come in and do another recap episode of Creative Stone on Between Two Trains. You've been listening to Between Two Trains, a business podcast. We thank you for listening. Keep spreading the word. Let everyone know that we exist on betweentwotrains.com. That's between the number 2 trains.com. Thank you for listening.
Hey, Jan Levy, Handy Entertainment.
Hi, this is Greg Burke with Remote Home Check.
Hi, this is Jeff Hill with Remote Home Check, and you've been listening to Between Two Trains.